Welcome back to this Junior's Gasoline Alley, where today we're continuing the fix and flip project on my 2006 BMW 325xi. Now this car has already gotten a fair bit of work into it, but it is not done yet and not done by a mile, because in this video we got to knock out a drive shaft which has been plaguing this vehicle on its all-wheel drive system. We got to tackle some motor mounts, which are not as easy as you'd expect because, well, it's all-wheel drive. And then we'll get it back down on the ground, take it to the inspection station, and find out that, well, spoiler alert, we get rejected and there's going to have to be a part 2 to this mechanical overhaul video. We're jumping into this video here where I've got access to a lift where I was doing the post-purchase inspection, which you really should have done pre. And you can see now that drive shaft has a ton of play. I knew that was going to be an issue, but that drive shaft does definitely have to be replaced. Not a big deal, going to be an easy enough fix to get taken care of. So under here we've got our 4 bolts for the drive shaft going into the transfer case. And then on the flip side, we've got the same and a small guibo going into the front differential. In this particular case, I'm going to start off and just see what I can get taken care of from removing drive shaft from the back. All right. That will work. Get a small extension on. Let's see if we've got enough ugga-duggas to get this done. Oh yeah. Oof. Out like gold. Nice and simple. And I'm going to leave that last one in, because now we're going to rotate towards the front. Now, for the last bolt. Woo! There we go. Drive shaft officially out. Take a look at that thing. So I went ahead and I got a premium drive shaft as well as this Dorman drive shaft. But quite honestly, I don't want to spend that much. So I'm going to give the A premium drive shaft a shot real quick. As far as I'm concerned, that looks plenty nice. Now let's go compare it to the stock drive shaft that came out of the car. Now, the problem that was with stock drive shaft, you can see right here, lots of play, which we should not have in a U-joint. Tons of disgusting noise. The front was okay, and when we compare these two, they more or less look basically identical. So we'll put the A premium one into the car. Hopefully it sets in just fine. I'm sure it will. And if it does, that's going to be nice and simple. All right, and we're back under the car. Grab our new drive shaft. Send it up into the front and into the back. Let's start by tossing a couple of screws in. In this case, use just a little dose of blue Loctite to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, just gonna get 2 of these in here. Let's do the same thing. Put in the front here. Not gonna go too tight right now, just snug these puppies up. Again, making sure we get some blue Loctite on. It's time to knock out all the ones on the back. Let's get that snugged up in there. And there we are. New drive shaft installed. See it in there. Looking mighty fine. And the next mechanical thing that I need to do on the car is actually replacing the engine mounts. So they're hanging out way down here. You can see the bolt for it right in the center. And the reason I need to replace these is you can feel the engine torquing. And these particular motor mounts, they've got 2 bolts down at the bottom, as you can see, and then 1 nut up at the top. And these particular guys, they do compress over time. And what that ends up doing is the motor shifts as you drive, and that definitely, even especially with the manual transmission, makes for an uncomfortable driving experience and some extra chattering. So with a couple of extensions and an impact wrench, we can go ahead and get to that bolt from above. Just with a 15 mil socket, we'll be right down on top of the bolt. And so under the car, when you get back here, just behind where the steering rack is, you can see that torques, and then the other torques on the other side. And so this is an E12 that's going to go in there just like so. There we go. Naturally, you'll move on to the other side and duplicate the removal of those 2 bolts holding the motor mount on. But then we've got to support the engine, which I'm doing with just a block of wood onto the oil pan and lifting up from the center to be able to bring the engine up and out of the way so that I'm able to gain access to the motor mounts. First, we'll take a look at the passenger side, and on the passenger side motor mount, I've got just enough room that I can start reaching in and beginning to wiggle that motor mount out of place. And from above, you can see that the mount coming off of the engine is coming up just enough that the tip of the bolt that's running through the bottom side up into that motor mount is free. So with that separated just enough, I'm able to start wiggling that motor mount, and this final shot from below, we're gonna gain some access, and thank goodness it is out.
Really see why these have to be replaced. Look at the old one, how much more compressed that is than the new one. That's a quite major difference between the two. And that's part of the reason that we're replacing them. Driver's side is being a bit of a pain, but it's kind of like if you turn it over onto its side, there's an opportunity to get it out.
Well, unfortunately, it seems that I was being a bit optimistic when I thought I was going to be able to just pull that motor mount on the drive side right out. This being my first all-wheel drive BMW, I was quickly faced with, I did things out of order. The drive shaft actually has to come out of the car so that you're able to then pull the motor mount out. And I just put that new drive shaft in, so quick zip zap, pull the new drive shaft out again, pull the motor mount, put the new one back in, zip zap, drive shaft back in. At least we're back in business now. Yikes.
All right, so the motor mounts are back on, and now it's time to go up the engine, which hopefully should slide back onto the motor mounts. There we go. That one went perfect. And the driver's side, which has been the more problematic one, funny, I can't quite see. Not quite on this side, so we're gonna have to do a little re-jiggling.
Thankfully, without much extra fussing, the driver's side motor mount slides into place, and all we gotta do is tighten everything back up, and this project will be done. Well, except for, I went to go get it inspected, and join me for part 2 so you can see what I gotta fix in part 2 to get this thing legal on the roads in Massachusetts. And we'll go ahead and tally up everything to date, adding in the drive shaft as well as the motor mounts. We're talking a total into this car of $2,204.67, which still ain't too bad, making some progress on a 2006 325 Xi with 148,000 miles. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit subscribe as well as use the affiliate links down in the description below. It's going to help fund this fix and flip that, is taking a lot of fixing. See you next one.